So, we're going to talk about Banshee. That's Gabriel, both from Chicago.
I'm Bockover from the Deep South, and now Cambridge.
And we both work on this fantastic multimedia application called Banshee. And we're just going to demo a bunch of stuff. We don't really want to talk about slides or anything. So we just made a list of stuff we're going to demo. We're just going to demo. So wait.
One note, we're in our Alpha 3 release. We just had our Alpha 3 release toward Banshee 1.0. It's gotten a lot of good reviews, Alpha 2 especially when we introduced some support for multimedia that we'll demo at the end. Made big waves. 1.0 will be the default will be installed by default in OpenSUSE 11, and we hope that other distributions will pick it up as well. Is this not high enough? Okay.
Yeah, it's not on, so you have to.
Okay. Well,
sorry.
No problem.
It's recorded though, so that's why it's there.
Oh, I see. Okay. So, Aaron, go ahead with the story left.
Right. So the first thing we're going to kind of go through, and I actually have no idea how we're going to go through it because it requires. So we'll just pretend, and you won't get it. Well, maybe you will. I'm sure you all have great imaginations. But so Last.fm is a fantastic service where it kind of provides. Are you supposed to be talking?
Yeah, go for
it. It provides.
Custom stations, radio stations based on music that's similar to an artist or that's tagged with a certain tag, all sorts of things. So by default, we have a few stations, including the Banshee group. We're not going to be able to show you any of them, but Banshee group actually will play you music that is similar to the taste of music of members that are in the Banshee group, there's 4,500 Banshee users who have joined the group and who have song reporting enabled within Banshee, and so that affects what the group plays. So there's actually a lot of classic rock in it and some other good stuff.
Yeah. So if you join the Banshee group and you want to influence the listening habits of other people who listen to the Banshee group, you can listen to music and influence others. So the other thing you do is actually create radio stations. So here you would create stations where you would type in. So as you listen to music, Last.fm can recommend music you might be interested in based on listening habits that you have.
So we can create a similar to Eric Clapton station, for example. Lots of different types.
Of course, this is going to show you nothing because we have no net. But so as you would focus these radio stations in the UI. Last.fm tracks would load 5 at a time, and you could click the song you want to play, and as you finish 5 tracks, it will load another 5. And it's like internet radio, only you kind of drive and choose exactly what you want to listen to. And I mean, it's not, you don't pick an artist and expect to see a list of tracks just by that artist, but you would see tracks that are similar to that artist, kind of contemporaries of, and so forth. And it just keeps going and keeps going and keeps going.
If you click on the Last.fm, it says disconnected, the main parent source there, you get kind of a summary view of the last 10 songs that you played and the last 10 songs that you loved. You'd be able to click them and jump off to Last.fm's list of videos, YouTube videos for that artist, all sorts of websites that lets you jump off to. So.
A question?
So Last.fm is something that sort of aggregates a lot of pointers to lots of sources of media, or is it actually...
No, it's a repository of media itself.
Artists
it actually streams
to it.
I see.
Yeah, they directly serve the media.
And the quality is fairly good. I think it's, I'm not sure, is it 96 or 128?
It's 128, I believe.
128 kilobit MP3, but I think they kind of normalize the volume a little low so that it's not really compelling for you to just say save the stream and listen to it as your own collection. Some people might, but
sounds great to me.
It's reasonable quality, but it's definitely in the realm of internet radio. But the big point is that you drive what you want to listen to.
So that's Last.fm. Let's move on to more basic media player functionality. We'll go ahead and import some songs.
So we've had some insane performance improvements, and The importing of media is really fast. This is loading. This is walking the file system and loading, parsing all the tags from 3194 songs or files. I don't know if they're all songs.
How did you make it go so fast?
How did we make it go fast?
Which
is really good.
We use a library called Tag Sharp for parsing metadata, and it definitely does not slow us down, so that's a big help.
Yeah.
No specific things, just not doing stuff we don't have to.
So, I mean, that took, I think it takes about 20 seconds to load the 3,000 songs from a warm disk cache. That is a lot faster than most applications, which are taking minutes and minutes to load that same
We've had
amount of
users
data.
report that importing 25,000 songs takes a reasonable amount of time, maybe like 10 minutes, I forget, somewhere around there. So,
anyway, so we've added this artist album browser thing, which has always been a very highly requested feature. You can see all your albums and artists and select the ones you want to see.
we've got a custom list view for your tracks. Actually, it's the same list view used for the album and artist. So Aaron's going to kind of stress test that for you. Show you selection that's contiguous, pretty column resorting, reordering or sorting is fast. Do a sort. The sorting's fast.
How many songs do you have in that library?
This one has 3194.
Small, but
down here. But we've tested up to. So originally, when I wrote this new view, I was doing tests with like 250,000 entries in the database, and the results were similar to this. So like this is sorting on multiple columns to get the right grouping and such. This is sorting really fast. Because everything's become a bit more complex. It's not. We don't actually scale as well to 250,000 songs, but we scale very, very well to the what we already see as extreme user libraries of 50,000 songs or such.
And it really depends on what operations you're talking about. If you're doing sorting, there's just no way to make that a constant time operation.
Yeah,
because
it's a sort, but it's also on multiple columns at multiple depths.
So same with searching. So those do get slower as you have more songs. But even with 25,000 song database, searching is decent. Maybe a second delay or so.
What is different here from the previous releases of Banshee, though, is that a lot of the operations are actually constant time. For instance, we only need to load into memory the tracks that you're actually going to see. So startup, regardless of the size of your database, is the same amount of time. It will take you a second to start up with 3,000 songs. It will take you a second to start up with 100,000 songs, which is very different from before.
So in terms of all these performance improvements, a lot of it's because we've really utilized the power of SQLite. SQLite's an amazing library, and we actually use it for searching and sorting and limit offset-based browsing. So just doing a lot of smart things that probably should have been doing all along, but we definitely do it right now. So why don't you rate some songs?
So, all right.
So they're searching, blazing fast on,
it's sort of a
on this size library at least.
So you can do searching is really nice too, because you can either enter basic searches or you can enter really complex searches. So for instance, I'll search for Co and figure out, like you might know what you're looking for, but you don't know exactly how it's spelled, so you just type the first few letters, and then you see it filters down, and you select the album you want. And so
it filters the track, artist, and albums based on what you entered. So you can use the combination of the browser with the searching to, get to something really quick.
Or
you can show the list or that browser on the left real quick, just to show that.
Oh yeah, so you can move the browser.
So if you have a wide screen,
top of the left.
it's very useful to have it like this. It looks much
it's
nicer.
really
You can
slick
see
if you're
way more
16 by 9.
albums. So that's an option.
So for advanced searching, though, you can do something like genre metal.
Rating 0, maybe.
Let's see. Duration greater than 2 minutes. So that'll give you all the songs, metal genre with 2 minutes.
You could do, file size.
Yeah, and so basically
3.1 megs.
You can add columns here in the view, and every one of these columns and more, because we actually don't currently map every single database column to a view column, but any single database column you can search on. So you can search on dates and all sorts of stuff.
So it's really we worked really hard and did a lot of work to make the backend, the searching mechanism, be the exact same mechanism that powers Smart Playlists, and they both actually save to an XML format that's very similar to ZSAM. We're actually trying to push that in a direction that's a little more useful for us. ZSAM being a cross-desktop, a free desktop spec for desktop-wide search. So we're trying to work with them.
So I have 83 songs that are over 10 megs apiece, stuff like that.
So all these fields, we have a lot of common aliases. So you could do on or from or album, all for album. And then a colon to do contains. There's different operators. So you could actually do equals equals to do exact match. And it's pretty insane. We have a very good documentation on the wiki about all the features of it. So, yes? You're still playing around?
Yeah, just playing. The difference between equals
Why don't
and
you drag some
contains.
songs and make a new playlist? So if you select some songs, you can just drag them over to the source view, and you can drag them into a new playlist in the music library. Notice it blinks to tell you that it added some songs to it. Should show them the play queue now.
Yeah.
So
actually, I want to start. Well, okay. So we added a play queue, which is another very requested feature where, as you're going through, I guess actually a thing to talk about is the bullet source on the left here. When you double-click something, or you basically activate that source, that's the source that playback will happen from. So it allows you to move around different sources, and as the song finishes, it will play the next song from the active source and not from the source that you are currently looking at. And built on that, we added this play queue UI, where you can, as you're browsing for various sources, you can pick a song you like. So I like these songs, and I can add to play queue.
Or you can literally hit the Q button to do the same thing.
So 4 items were just added here. Now when I press next, playback is going to happen from the play queue. So as long as the play queue is populated, playback will happen from there. And as you finish an item on the queue, it will get removed, and then playback will return to whatever you were playing previously. So this is really nice because it allows you to sort of go into your media, figure out what you want to play, queue it up, and not have to think about it, but playback will happen as you intended it to, as you're browsing for media.
So we're doing really well on time, by the way. So
Okay.
good.
Let's see, play queue. Oh, so what's really nice is you can just press Q. So you can go over something, whatever's selected, and just press Q on it, and it'll get added to the queue. And kind of as these visual cues to let you know that something happened to a source, even if you didn't directly interact with it. So if I didn't explicitly drag a selection to the source, but I added something to the queue with Q, with the key press Q, the source that had items removed to it or items added to it will actually pulse, and the UI will fade in and out. It just kind of as a visual cue to let you know that something just happened there. Just kind of a small touch.
Why don't you show the cross-fading of... So in the track header here, we got the title and artist and album and cover art that's missing for this song, but when you hit next song, which hopefully you actually...
So the header
very
is here.
slick, fade in and out. It's a nice feature.
As you
Aaron
press
added for
next,
us.
the text will fade out. So the only thing that changed was the title, so the title fades out in the end. And then as you go down and change to a different album, the whole thing fades, but the cover art crossfades. Just small. We've got a lot of small things like that that are just kind of nice.
Well, I guess I think we're doing well on time, so I'll mention a small Easter egg, or something you might call it. A feature that I added for Vim users out there, you can actually navigate up and down on any of these 3 lists with J and K, and do Shift, Select, and then hit Q, and so that's fun. And you can hit / to focus the search bar. So it's pretty keyboard friendly. Maybe not quite as well as it could be, but point anything out to us, and we'll probably add it.
Emacs key bindings.
Maybe. Yeah, patch is welcome. So.
So, cool.
So Shuffle UI.
Shuffle's fun.
So we have this awesome community contributor, Scott Peterson, who's actually a thespian studying at NYU, and he does amazing work for us. He's just, I guess, very talented in many respects. He created this new UI for Shuffle for us that's actually integrated into the Next button. So besides the Next button, there's a Firefox back-like drop-down that you can select, and you change the Shuffle, and the Next icon actually changes to show you what mode you have selected. So Next and Shuffle are linked because when you hit Next, it's going to operate it on Shuffle or not, depending on what you have selected. So it's all there, and we think is really cool. So Shuffle actually is, within the last week, I changed it to use the database. Again, it's important to use SQLite when it's so powerful. So we have last played stamp and last skip stamps in the database for each track, and it makes sure that it doesn't play anything that's been played recently. So when Shuffle starts, it keeps basically moving the slider, making the set of tracks that it's going to play from smaller and smaller until it runs out of them, and then it resets that date slider, essentially. So we'll also probably fairly soon have very powerful shuffle by all sorts of cool things. Shuffle by album, shuffle by album within artists. So it'll hop within albums within an artist, and then once it's done, it hops to the next, things like that.
Yeah,
based on rating, all sorts of fun ideas that should be very easy to implement.
So Banshee is really extensible. You can sort of easily write plugins and extensions to implement features that you might want. For example, one of the extension points that we have is you could actually implement your own shuffle mode. So if you, want to shuffle within, it's kind of hard to come up with a new shuffle mode off the top of your head, but you would be able to actually implement it, and it would show up in that menu, and then when you select it, it will shuffle using whatever algorithm you think is an awesome shuffle mode.
So our audio CD support that Aaron committed within this last week is actually an extension too. So it's almost using the public API that Banshee exposes and consuming it and providing more functionality on top.
Yeah, almost all of the actual interesting end user features that we've demoed is actually they're just extensions. So it's the whole
obviously,
core. You can just
the play queue itself is an extension. So. Want to show MTP?
Yeah.
So I've got this little device. It's a Creative Zen V+. It's an MTP plays for sure protocol. And Aaron's going to plug it in here. And I just committed this support last night, actually, after finishing it on the plane. So Banshee is actively in development. Well, we've been adding features even today, but we're not going to. Didn't quite get them to demoable state.
All right. So the device shows up.
There it is.
And it's got all the same features you would expect in your
search,
local library.
Browser. So you can delete a few songs to show that.
Delete some stuff. It's too fast.
It's too fast?
Can you copy from the device and to the device?
Let's see what the errors were. Oh, the given key was not presented in the dictionary.
So, some polish to be added.
But hey, it didn't crash, so. Let's see, so let's add some stuff. Miguel, you had a question?
He just wanted you to add stuff.
Can you copy music into or copy music out?
Yes.
Yes. In fact. Let's see. Let's pick. I'm just going to pick.
Copy now isn't implemented. Yeah, it is for mass storage, but it will be soon for MTP.
So one of the different things about, we should probably, if we're okay on time, we should maybe discuss sort of a little bit of the history of Banshee. In the previous versions of Banshee, we had MTP support, but this is basically a new Banshee. This is kind of a new product. We rewrote a lot of it from the ground up over the last 6 months. A lot of the core stuff. And as we've built up the core, we've moved all of the kind of really interesting extensions back into the code base. So we haven't rewritten everything because we've basically just been porting the extensions to implement new interfaces that our core supports. So we had MTP support and all sorts of device support over the last 3 years, but we changed the way we do synchronization with devices now. So before, when you would drag and drop songs onto a device, you would see the changed state of the device in the list, but then you would have to manually say, okay, I'm ready to synchronize, or I'm ready to commit the changes I made down to the device. So now we're going to have a couple different modes where basically changes happen on demand. So you see the thing, it like faded up. It's really cool. You don't see that in GTK a lot, so it's nice to have. But all you do is drag and drop. It's committed. It's already done. It's on the device, and it's ready for you to listen to it. So we're going to have different synchronization models where you could immediately change your device, or you could have it automatically synchronize your library when you plug it in.
So we actually do, it's only like 5 minutes till the hour. We started a bit late. 5 minutes? Okay. So I guess we're not so great on time. One thing I wanted to mention about this is you can actually create smart playlists on your devices, and playlists and smart playlists, they aren't currently synchronized to the device. We will do that in the future, and we'll basically save a snapshot of smart playlists to the device as a normal playlist, where devices don't support them. But one really cool thing this lets you do is you can have a smart playlist within Banshee that says, show me songs I haven't listened to that maybe were added more than 2 weeks ago or something like that. And you haven't listened to those songs, you're probably not interested, you might as well wipe them and add stuff you're more interested in. So cool functionality like that.
We'll be able to take, so you can also be able to, you'll be able to create smart playlists on the device, but your device itself may not actually support smart playlists, and most devices don't. But the interesting thing about hardware is that you don't actually interact with your music on your hardware like you would in your library. You just listen to it. So we can allow you to create smart playlists, and then when you export to the device, you just export it as a static playlist. It's not going to change because you're listening to it on the device.
We should move on to video. Okay. So 2 weeks ago with Alpha 2, we got big waves of news, at least relative to previous Banshee releases, for having video support. Banshee is now Banshee Media Player, not Banshee Music Player. Aaron's going to import some videos, and I'm sure you've already noticed the video library, but videos automatically get imported into the library. You can, when you double click on a video...
of course this video isn't going to play now. This is a QuickTime MPEG-4, so GStreamer kind of barfs on it sometimes.
But when you start clicking a video, it actually switches to the now playing source, and that's where you view your videos from. So you can switch to other sources and do other things if you want, but that's where your video will always be playing. Bookmarking, searching, querying, smart playlists all work for the video management within the video library. Yes?
Do you support podcasts?
Yes, hopefully we'll be able to demo that if we have some time.
So, where's Mike?
Yeah. Mike Urbanski.
Mike wrote all the podcast stuff. He's awesome.
Another awesome community contributor here from Chicago, or Milwaukee, I guess, right? So, Mike's done amazing work over the last 3 years with podcasting. He wrote all the podcasting in the 13.2 and before branches, and he's doing awesome work on Trunk to get it going well. So, do you want to restart with either a big database or...
A lot of these videos scare me when I'm testing because they actually are just black for like 5 seconds, so I don't think anything's working. But it worked.
With videos, do you guys have other ways of categorizing them than like artist, album, track?
Not right now because we're not kind of worried about focusing on video management per se right now.
The generic tagging of all music and video is a feature we're definitely looking for. Probably post 1.0.
Well, so talk about 1.0 while I get this thing to work.
Well, so 1.0, our goal is to have it feature parity complete with 13.2. So it'll have all your hardware support. It'll have podcasting. It'll have all the plugins that we now call extensions in 1.0. And it also obviously has some new features. If you used Banshee before, it has new features. You'll notice, like the queue, video support, things like that. We are probably going to have 1.0 by the end of May. That's our goal right now. So pretty soon.
Yeah. So what was our feature parity with the previous stable releases we've had out? After 1.0, we're definitely going after kind of crazy ways to manage your video, your multimedia, stuff like that.
I guess we can't show podcasting since we don't have network, but video podcasting works. We haven't released it yet because we need to work on it a little bit more, but you can download it today, pass -- enabled podcast, I think, to the build to configure, and you'll get it. So, questions?
Yeah.
Anybody? Yeah.
I know that. Do you support Indian methods like iTunes Auto Discovery Sharing?
DAP? D-A-A-P?
Yeah.
Yeah, we do. We have an extension in Trunk that's also not been released, but it will be there before 1.0.
It used to be in the old version.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So
Right.
if you run the stable version, it was there.
It should be there. So basically, all the features that we previously had in the stable versions, we expect to make into the final 1.0 version. So our goal is mainly just feature parity at this point with what we've had, so we can basically move on and continue evolving this fantastic new core.
So is this a rewrite or?
It's a rewrite of some
A lot
core
of it.
design decisions that maybe could have been made better, and we've done them better now. A lot of the code's the same, but there's actually a substantial amount of rewrite too.
So much better when I last looked at it. It's great work.
Well, thank you. Any other questions? Yes.
I recently had to buy an MP3 player.
Yes.
I asked you guys for some advice, and I was wondering if you could share that with everyone so that they buy the right stuff.
So yeah, iPods have caused Aaron and James Wilcox endless hours of headache trying to, every time they upgrade iTunes, they upgrade the iPod system, and you have to reverse engineer it, and it gets harder and harder every time. In fact, the iPhone and iTouch
are
I don't think anybody's really figured out how to get user to access to the file system yet, other than SSH. So that's all the negative stuff. What to get? MTP is something we are very committed to supporting. Any mass storage, so iAudio players or Creative Zen players.
Drew's just got a really sweet new Creative Zen player that he apparently is happy with, and it works beautifully out of the box. So anyway.
Pre-version 5 Apple iPods.
I think they changed something in Gen 5.
Gen 5.5 was the last one that worked with releases of Banshee over last summer. We added support for the iPod Classic and the iPod and the new iPod Nano in our 0.13.2 release. They added some crap where you had to, they would basically check on the entire database, and they had some private key that the firmware and that iPod and the iTunes knew, and they had to match up. So anyway, it's very hard to support.
iPods are a headache. Please reduce our headache. I guess we're being cut off, so we'll be outside for more questions, I guess. Thanks.